Good morning, YouTubers. Well, it's like 8 degrees out. We're actually warmer than what we have been in quite a while. So today's a good day to sit in a bait shop and make some jigs. When I make jigs, today we're going to make some aspirin head. I might make a few others, but what I like to do is get everything I need together. My hooks, I heat my mold before I pour the jigs on the same hot plate that I use to hand pour baits. So and to heat my my soft plastic stuff. So I've got my lead pot going and melted. It's ready to go. You can see it's running pretty good. This is a smaller lead pot. I do have the larger one. Either one works, but I'm not, making a ton of great big lead jigs, so I don't need the big pot out, and this one heats a lot faster. One thing I like to do is take all my hooks and I put them on a little magnet. You can use magnetic tray or just about anything. Simply because when I start digging them out of the bag, they tend to come out, and I get these from Barlow's, but when you dig them out, they tend to come out in a big wad, and then the hooks fall on your bench and they bounce all over your shop and they're on the floor and you can't find them all, and then the dog walks through the shop and ends up with a hook in his foot somehow. He can find every hook that I've ever lost just magically. So the other thing that I do that may be different is you have all of these different weights that you can pour, and each one of them is listed with the hook size. I don't necessarily follow that hook size. Sometimes you can go a little larger, one size larger, one size smaller. But one thing I do is, instead of loading every one of these cavities, which takes forever, and your mold's cooling down while you're doing that, and if the mold's hot, you're burning your fingers and stuff, I do one size at a time. So you can see it goes much faster. I just lay my hook in, get it lined up. I can close the mold, make sure it's closed. As long as you don't see an open line there, you're good. I put it right into the spout. Now this does a couple things. It keeps me from flowing into other chambers, and it runs the lead into the cavity a lot better than if you're down here. If you're down here, your lead's cooling as it's falling, and a lot of people don't realize this. The shot that you get from a shotgun is made by basically pouring molten lead through a screen and dropping it through the air like 75 feet into a pool of water. Then it's tumbled to make it perfectly round, but it's pretty round as it falls because the entire time that lead is passing through the air in that tunnel, that tower, it's cooling. Well, if you're holding your mold down here and you're opening this up, and trying to fill those, you can miss, but that lead is cooling and you may not get a complete pour. So by putting it up here, you're pretty much, I can hold that up forever and I'm sealed, and lead's not going to go anywhere except for in that little chamber in there, where it needs to go. So you can see on this one and this one where, because of that splashing and overpour and everything else, this one did not pour correctly. This one did pour correctly, but it has a lot of flashing. So we'll take these out, put them right back in the lead pot to get them melted. But if we look at this, now you realize how long I held that open, and you look, and that is a very, very nice looking jig head. It's not going to take a lot to clean that up. There's a little bit of flashing, which with these do-it molds is pretty normal, but that will be very easy to clean up. So, and again, I do one size at a time. So if I need, let's say I have an order, some guy wants 20 of them in every size, I just set out 20 hooks and I pour 20 at a time and move on to the next one. See how fast that goes? Much faster than trying to load every single one of those cavities in that mold. Your jigs are going to stick in the mold, okay? You can use dropout, you can smoke your molds. I don't, mainly because I can't find my dropout. I love dropout because on bullet molds, it's a way to go. I mean, they just fall out. And that'll help some, but just the design of the jig itself is going to make it difficult to get out of the mold. One thing you do not want to do is grab this thing by the hook. When you grab this by the hook, you're going to end up pulling that, the lead's still a little bit soft and tender. It hasn't completely cooled down to room temperature yet. So you'll end up loosening that hook and then you'll have a wobbly jig. So grab it by the sprue with a pair of pliers and lift it out. You won't loosen that hook. Matter of fact, we're going to talk more about that when we talk about getting rid of the sprue and cleaning everything up. But for now, when you're pulling it out of your jig, don't grab the hook and pull it out. And definitely don't grab that sprue. It's hot. Okay, I'll shut up now. I promise. Really. Honest. No more. You won't hear another word from me. Double time. March! And this is a good time to remind you, pouring lead is hot. So you gotta wear your safety equipment. If you don't have safety equipment on, it's not gonna work for you, okay? You're gonna get hurt, unless you're like me. Now, when I was a young man, in my teens, I spent a lot of time in my dad's garage. At the time, spending time in Dad's garage was a punishment. Every time you got in trouble, you spent time in Dad's garage. Now, what I didn't know was it actually ended up becoming a huge advantage for me later in life. I knew more. I could do more. But one time we were in the garage and my dad had a piece of steel in a bench vise, and he was cutting the end of the steel off. He needed a little piece. And so he pulls out his cutting torch, cuts the end off. The end falls on the floor. I reach down, pick it up, and throw it on the bench. And my dad looks at me and says, "Hot, wasn't it?" And so I look up at my dad and I say, "No, Dad, not really. I just don't take long to look at stuff." And I proceeded to walk out of the garage and cry because it really was hot. And so, you know, be mindful. Lead melts. You know, these lead pots run right around 800, 850 degrees or warmer. And so a burn from lead, the biggest problem is it's instantly a 3rd degree burn. And with 3rd degree burns, the lead penetrates into the tissue and keeps burning all the way down, down, down until the lead is cooled down. Now lead cools fairly fast, so a burn on your hand, you might only lose a finger. But burn treatments are not fun. They're one of the most painful injuries a person can get. And they take forever to heal up. And the worst part of it is, burns are extremely susceptible to infections. And once you have an infection, you are going to fight that infection for forever. I mean, it is going to take a long time to get rid of that infection. And so it's just an added stress to the body that you don't want, which is going to keep you from healing. The point is, wear gloves. Do as I say, not as I do. Wear gloves. You know, be mindful of how hot this stuff really is. Whether you're pouring plastisol or you're pouring lead, it's all extremely hot and it will burn you very badly. Also, make sure you got plenty of adequate ventilation. You can hear my fans running. You want to pump fresh air in and fresh air out. So a good rule of thumb, if you're going to look into a ventilation system, is you want to move at least 1/3 the volume of your space in 1 minute. So in other words, if you have 3,000 foot space that you're pouring lead or pouring plastisol, you want to move 1,000 cubic feet of air in a minute. That's a pretty good sized fan. So if you're in a big garage like I am, you know, it's not a big garage, it's a little wooden single car garage, you know, probably about the size for a motorcycle or something. I could get away with 1,000 cubic feet a minute, but if you're in a 2-car garage, you actually need, you know, like 12,000 feet a minute. I mean, they can get big fast. So protect yourself. Wear respirators, wear gloves, wear goggles all the time. You burn an eye, it's not coming back from that. You will never recover. They just remove the eye. The cool thing is, you get a glass eye and be a real pirate, you know, when you go out on your boat. So, you know, protect yourself. Unless, of course, you want to be a one-legged, one-handed, one-eyed pirate. Hey, one thing about YouTubers is we all like to talk to ourselves a lot. And we do talk to ourselves a lot. Only we do it on camera, so everybody can witness it. And since I don't want to look like a psychotic talking to myself, I'm just going to shut up and do this for a while. Oh, but before I do shut up, yeah, I got more to say, imagine that. I want to point out some of the greats in this. You got to go check out Adam at SDG. He is a fantastic bait maker, jig maker. I mean, his work is beautiful. And the guy loves to share his knowledge and help you out. So, you know, if you need help, Adam's a great one to contact. You know, there's Chris Jones over at World's Worst Fishing. I've always figured a name like World's Worst Fishing, I need a name like World's Worst Bait Making. It would be appropriate, I guess. You know, but Chris Jones is another one. He does a lot of the hand painting type of stuff and is just phenomenal at it. There's Bait and Tackle. So it's B, the number 8, the letter N, and then tackle. Bait and Tackle. He's a good one to watch. Bait Chuckin'. Michael over there, He is phenomenal. You guys have got to check out bait chucking, you know, and fish around, you know. I know I'm not the only guy on the internet doing this stuff, and I'm probably the worst one to doing it, but these guys are fantastic at it. And, you know, as usual, they love helping others out. They'll answer any of your questions, you know. They do this because they love this hobby. Well, some of them, it's more than a hobby, it's a living. But go check them out. Now I'm going to shut up, I promise. Matter of fact, we'll just double time this and play some music. Let's get rid of some sprues. The sprue on your jig is this part right here. We don't want that. It's kind of ugly. So you can do this in a very nice way and take a pair of diagonal cutters and cut it off, and it leaves a nice little nub that you're going to have to file or clean up later. Or you can do like most people do, and you can grab this jig. Remember, never hold the hook while you're trying to remove that sprue. You'll loosen that hook up in that jig, okay? So you want to hold the hook with a pair of pliers. But teacher, the pliers are rough in there.